Well, hello there.
Hi there.
Welcome, friends and art lovers. This is 5 Minutes with Robert Nasir, and I'm here. Amy Nasir is here.
That's me.
You're here, and it is Sunday, July 5th, 2020, the 187th day of the year.
Welcome.
There are 118 days until Halloween.
Yes.
And there are 173 days until Christmas.
I'm in a Christmas mood right now.
And with that in mind, Amy and I have an early Christmas present for you. That's right, today we are joined by the art goddess of Quent and Cordair Fine Art Gallery. Oh my gosh, it's Linda Cordair. Linda, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm great. Happy Sunday. This is exciting.
Thank you for having me. This is absolutely the best.
It is. I just love this.
This
I'm
is
excited. I just wish I had thought about a hat. I should have worn a hat.
Oh, that's quite all right.
Next time.
Yes.
And this won't be the last.
Well, talk to me. What's happening?
Well, on this day, July 5th, 1946, French designer Louis Réard, everybody's going to know from the name what we're about to introduce, the Bikini at Piscine Molitor, a popular Parisian swimming pool.
Well.
That's right. On this day in 1940, you know, I love these on this days because it's been less than 100 years. It was scandalous. Absolutely scandalous. European women first began wearing two-piece bathing suits that consisted of a halter top and shorts in the 30s, but only a sliver of the midriff was revealed, and the navel was vigilantly covered.
Well, that navel, it's so sexy right now.
In prudish America, the bikini was successfully resisted until the early 1960s, when a new emphasis on youthful liberation brought the swimsuit en masse to U.S. beaches. Immortalized by the pop singer Brian Hyland, who sang Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Bikini in 1960. Including beach blanket movies with Annette Funicello and Frankie Avalon. So scandalous, my gosh. And it's funny because I'm just old enough I can remember when people were so much more, let's say, modest, not repressed, just
They had a different kind of standard, different style.
There.
Classy.
That's right. Well, now you're going to make me sound old if I agree with that, but I do.
You do.
Today is also Jamie Royal Robertson's 76th birthday, better known as Robbie Robertson of the band The Band.
Okay.
See, if you've been in a cover band like me, a bar band, then you have played, you know, The Wait and Up on Cripple Creek and The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down so many times you can feel it in your fingers. So happy 76th birthday to Robbie Robertson.
Excellent.
Our podcast of the week. What am I listening to this week? What I'm actually listening to are from OCON 2019, the talk, How to Fill Your Life with Art.
I remember that. That is so good.
That was a good one.
So
with
good.
Yaron, Brook, and Onkar Ghate. And the link to that will be in the show notes, because if you haven't heard it, and even if you have, you should be listening to that too. But why am I thinking about art? Why have I got art on the brain? Because to heck with all the other usual 5-minute stuff, we're talking to Linda Cordair.
Linda Cordair, everybody.
Of Quent and Cordair Fine Art.
She is a legend. She is an art goddess, and we're so happy to have her today.
So, Linda, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you. I've been addicted to your show from the very first one I watched, and I have my phone alarm set for Sundays at 2:45 in the afternoon Pacific time so that I don't forget.
Excellent.
That's so wonderful.
So we have a few questions to ask you.
A few
questions.
We've got 5 minutes worth of questions to ask you.
We're going to be asking you questions about biochemistry today.
It's Biochemistry Day.
Is this chair rigged to collapse if I don't know the correct?
That's right.
It'll dunk you into a pool.
I thought we went with the electric shocks. So, Linda,
maybe Mr. Cordair might be involved in this as a payback of some sort, but I'm going with it.
Well, he'll have his chance too.
Yes, he will next week.
So, Linda, tell us, when did Quent Cordair Fine Art open?
We're old. We just celebrated 24 years.
24 years.
24 years of representational art all over the world. Quint started this gallery in 1996 as an extension of his writing habit. And I came along in 2003 and took over the management for him so that he could do what he loves, and that's writing.
Oh, how wonderful.
That's amazing.
Now, has the gallery always been located in Napa, California?
No, it was in Burlingame. We've actually just now hit the 50-50 mark. He was in Burlingame for 12 years, and then we moved to Napa in 2008.
Fantastic.
Wonderful.
That was really nice of you to to take over the art gallery in a way and give him the time and the space to actually do what he loves. I really love that story of yours, and I'm sure we'll know a little bit. We'll find out maybe a little bit more about how you guys met pretty soon here.
I can't. I'm not laughing at that story. I'm just wondering if Amy's trying to drive home a point here about a wife taking over the 9-to-5 so that her husband can pursue his dreams.
He's been my benefactor, and now I am. So
he's still very much involved. He just doesn't have to spend his time physically here in the gallery. And if you've read anything that the man has written,
yes,
you understand why we want to keep him writing.
He has the heart of an artist, not a manager.
Yes.
He paints with words, as well as he's a great painter. But I think that his true love is the words.
That's fantastic. And I have read his words, and they're beautiful. So, and we can go into more of that next week. I can't wait. We're going to be interviewing Quent Cordair next week.
Well, we could do, oh my gosh, we could do the dating game. Well, but he'll have seen this. We could have done, I think it was the dating game, where we would ask you a question and then ask him the question, see if the answer.
That actually sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Right.
So for example, how did you and Quent meet?
How did we meet? We were pals in high school many, many moons ago.
Oh my goodness.
South Florida. Our parents both moved to the same little town on the west coast of Florida when we were juniors in high school. And we were practically the only kids in that school who hadn't grown up in this town. So we already had something in common. We became best friends. He eventually threw me my 18th birthday party. And then graduation happened. He went into the Marine Corps. I got married and had babies. And 20 years goes by and it's, how you doing? No, it was almost class reunion time, and he was already living out here on the West Coast, and he wanted to find out who of his closest friends might be there, and would it be worth him making a trip? And the rest is history.
How wonderful!
That's fantastic. I love the pictures of you. If you Google Quent and Linda Cordair, you'll find some really beautiful pictures of them together. Clinking champagne glasses, and it's so nice.
It's my favorite love story.
Yes.
Your guys' is pretty cool. You guys are up there, but it's still my favorite.
We'll have you interview us next about how we met.
Oh, we gotta
I
keep.
like that.
That's
turn the table.
Quite a long story.
So we're keeping one eye on the comments here, and thank you, John, for letting us know Linda needed to be louder. Let us know if that sounds better now.
Yes, let us know, please.
We
John.
definitely want Linda
I need
cranked
to be
up.
louder. No one's ever said I needed to be louder. But thank you.
You don't need to do anything on your end. It's all technical here.
Yes.
Assuming I know what I'm doing, and that's kind of a big assumption, but
life is a journey.
life is a journey.
Read that somewhere.
Not a. I don't know. I think it should be a destination. I think it's a false alternative. Mm-hmm. As fans of Ayn Rand, we're familiar with false alternatives and false dichotomies.
We love that word dichotomy.
Life is a journey and a destination.
Oh, John says balance is pretty good now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Well, pretty good, I guess, is
Who
good
else?
Enough.
Who's watching? I can't see
Oh
the
my
list.
gosh, we have Cynthia, we have Shaid, we have Kaiten, we have Rebecca. Oh my gosh, Paula. We have Sandy and Jennifer and
Romper,
Jeez.
Stomper, Bumper, Boo. Yeah.
Sue and Sally and Greg and George. Oh no.
So wonderful.
Romper, Stomper, Bumper, Boo.
Oh, that was funny.
Oh, great.
Yeah, well, we have our YouTube listeners as well.
Yes.
And I especially appreciate Michael and Eilleen and the folks who are getting our YouTube
Yes.
numbers up. Remember, this week was our big YouTube drive, and we'll talk
Eilleen.
about that more in a minute.
Yeah, Marilyn and Michael, thank you for being on YouTube with us.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and we'll be double checking our subscriber count before the end of this episode.
Right.
So the Quent Cordair Fine Art Mobile Gallery Experience at OCON 2019. There was an objectivist conference, as there is every year. It's more than one nowadays, but the big one in Cleveland, Ohio,
Yes, it was wonderful.
was wonderful. And somehow, Quent Cordair Fine Art was there. There was a mini
magic.
version of the gallery just filled to the brim with fantastic art.
Did you guys have a transporter,
So yeah, tell us about the process of creating the mobile gallery.
Talk about journeys. That whole process morphed from being invited because of the 50th anniversary for the Romantic Manifesto was the theme, and getting a call from Tal and Anu saying, would you all consider being there?
Wow.
Okay, yeah, let's do this. And I'll ship a palette of art and, three sculptures and some paintings, and we'll set up somewhere.
A few
and talk
things.
to people about the gallery. Yeah. Well, I've never really done anything on a small scale. And it just seemed like, well, that's not enough, and that's not enough. And then I have an art transporter out here, and I spoke with him. I said, would you consider driving to Cleveland? He's got this big 15, I don't know what it is, maybe a 12-foot trailer. He said, yeah, he gave me a price, and we were pretty good. And by now, I'm up to about 3 pallets of art. And then unfortunately, maybe only a couple of weeks before, we got a phone call from him, and one of his employees, who was supposed to be doing the driving, backed out. And we weren't going to have a way to get the art there unless we took it ourselves. And to the rescue, Kurt Barbera volunteered to drive the art out. Well,
That's
drive the car.
amazing.
And you've got a friend to do it. Why not just rent a big Penske truck and fill it to the brim? Which we did. And
So I had a Star Trek reference there for a second. So you've got transporter systems, and you've got Captain Kirk, who transported everything.
I don't know that I could ever do it again on that level, but the sad thing is if we do it again, we'd have to do it on that level, because it truly was. It was an enormous amount of work, but every smile, every comment, every accolade that we got for doing it just made us feel so wonderful. And to have the opportunity not only to see old friends, because Quint used to exhibit at the conferences regularly, and then as we were moving to Napa and it was competing with our busy season and not having the staff, we just weren't able to do it anymore. And we managed to staff up and do it well. So yeah, I'd do it again. I don't know that I want to go farther than Cleveland though. That was quite a haul.
I guess that's the one downside of doing, you do something that well, and yeah, you almost don't want to do a smaller version. You want the next one to be that good.
The one that we did one 6 weeks later in Park City for the Objective Standard, and some of the artwork we stored in Salt Lake City for that 6 weeks. And it was very nice. I was very pleased with that as well, but Cleveland was just so grand, having so much artwork there. And like I said, connecting with all those friends, and then having new people experience the art who either maybe they knew about us, they'd only seen us on Facebook or through the gallery website, but to be there in person with the artwork, and young people who'd never heard of us before are now regular followers and contact us, and members of Club Cordair saving money for art when they can afford it. So it's all good.
It was on my list of things to remember to ask you about. The Club Cordair provides patrons a way to become an insider at Quent Cordair Fine Art. So can you tell us about Club Cordair? When did you start the program, and how's it going?
It's going really well. Quent Cordair was Quent's brainchild, to give him full credit for that. We live obviously in Napa, California, and one of the major businesses here, as you would expect, is wine. It's the wine industry. And the wineries each have what they call wine clubs. Generally, they're either quarterly or biannual allocations. You pay whatever it is, whatever you agree to when you join the club, to get whatever bottles of wine that you want. And they just automatically and somehow magically show up at your door and on your credit card. So he said, we should have a club like that. I said, well, I can't just randomly send people art. a couple times a year, and we have to be careful what you ask my husband for, because he came back to me with about an 8-page wonderful description of what we could do. And that narrowed down, became 3 levels, $50, $100, or $200 a month. That just automatically gets put into an account that we keep track of for you, so you can have your balance at any time. There are no fees. It's just a way to help you tuck money away for something you really want to own. And whether you're taking 3 years to accumulate things at $50 a month, or you're a member for 6 months at $200 and you want to go ahead and spend it right away, it's super flexible, super easy, and I'm very pleased to say incredibly popular.
And do I understand there's an email you send out to club members as well, keeping them updated with things going on?
Well, we have a regular mailing list. So
Okay.
on the website, the place where you can just join our mailing list. And I'd like to say that once a month, I send out a newsletter that features anything new in the gallery, any news, artist receptions, things we might be doing. And the reality is, probably only about every 6 or 7 weeks, just from being as busy as I am. I don't tend to get them out. There's no schedule. It's just surprise, there's a newsletter. But then the Club Cordair members also receive some private communications from me when there are maybe extra special things. Maybe an artist is in a pinch and needs to make a little money. We do have some special purchase options for our club members. We want to make sure and thank them for their loyalty and their trust. Wonderful.
No, that sounds like such a wonderful idea, and I kind of wonder what I would like to save up for.
Well, one of the things that I like to let people know is, even if they're not in the market for art today, regardless of the reason, but they're in love with the type of art that we represent, and they know it a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, they want to own something for the gallery. If you can afford comfortably to tuck away $50 a month, which is, well, a lot of people spend more than that at Starbucks. It's a decent bottle of wine in a restaurant if you're lucky. Once you're a member for 12 consecutive months, on that 12-month anniversary, you also start getting discounts on the art. And that's something that the artists have agreed to. It's a way they get excited knowing that people are saving for the artwork. So on the main page at Cordair.com, on the main page about halfway down, there's a link to Club Cordair. And if you open that up, it will describe all 3 levels in detail. And it'll also let you know about those discounts that you can save up to $1,000 a year off of artwork after you've been a 12-month member.
That is so exciting. I mean, okay, so I'm a little bit of an artist myself. And I mean, but I would think that would be so encouraging, and it would really give the artists incentive to keep going with their artwork.
Particularly now,
you
know, there's a lot of negativity going on, and people, many of which have had to clamp down on, finances. And we've been very flexible with people who've needed to maybe put their memberships on hold because of everything that's going on. But for an artist, when the well dries up and no one's buying their art, artists are generally very highly intelligent people. And by the same token can be very emotional, and it's hard.
Sure.
It's, why isn't anybody buying this beautiful creation of mine? And it's not that for lack of want. Sometimes it's just lack of ability. And we've always tried to make it easy for our clients. We've always tried to keep the art as salable price-wise as we can to make it worth the investment that the artist has in each piece. But when you get to that crux of, well, my art just isn't selling. If I can say to artist A, I know you haven't sold anything for a while, but I've got 3 people saving for pieces that you created.
Wow, yeah.
All of a sudden, you've got this little boost of happy and positive, and it's back to the easel or back to the play.
Puts a pep in their artistic step. I have a comment.
I like that.
Yes, please do. And Mary Eilleen actually comments on YouTube. I bought a print of Atlas Resting on Reason by John Wass when I was in Cleveland. I'm looking at it now. It makes me happy.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Mary Eilleen, for sharing that.
And thank you from John as well. The artists are ever so grateful for the thousands of people that come to the website every month, sometimes just to look. it's okay. We've got the virtual walkthrough now, which I know you all want to introduce, and it's a way that you can be a part of us every day without having to spend a penny except for your internet service.
So good.
It is amazing.
You know, you did mention current events, and I know a lot of people are wondering about this. Most recently, you opted to reopen the gallery during the state-imposed coronavirus lockdowns. With all the proper safeguards in place, and you even championed the cause for yourselves and for others under the slogan, "Not dying is not living." Disappointingly, but not surprisingly, you received enormous pushback from several quarters, followed by complications due to the subsequent protests related to the BLM movement. Do any movements in that fight stand out for you? And what's the state of the art?
Oh my goodness.
Pun
State
intended.
of the art.
Very good.
How are things going at this time?
Things are going great. I'm super proud of us. It was just an unbelievable journey. It isn't anything else that we could have. I told Quint, he is an amazing writer he is. I don't think he could have scripted this. There were so many unknowns, so many things that were out of our control, beyond our control. And here we were pretty much trying to go it alone. After an enormous amount of research, he penned a great letter, which I'll be happy to add in the comments later for anybody who wants to read it. It was sent to the local government and the state, and it was pretty much, you know what, this has gone on long enough. We have a very safe atmosphere here in 3,000 square feet with a no touching policy, and it's time to reopen the economy, albeit slowly and safely. We're one of those businesses that can, and unfortunately they've been throwing around the word essential by their own definition, and art is essential. And a lot of people who pushed back had some really horrible things to say, not even realizing themselves how much they depend on art. And we were dealing with a lot of negativity, horrible phone calls, emails. But for every one of those, we had so many people reach out to us, people we'd never met before, that either found out about us because they saw a news story. We have a lot of people very well connected through blogs and what have you. And I have to tell you, it was so heartwarming. I broke down, I think, more in tears from the positive reactions that we got than from some of the really malevolent interactions that we had to deal with. But I think the one thing that stands out the most, and maybe it's just, nervous humor kicking in, but I remember having dinner with Quint one night, and, got the candles lit and the wine poured, and I looked at him and said, should we coordinate what we're going to wear for our mugshots tomorrow? Because there was every chance that we were going to be arrested the next day.
Oh my gosh.
We had made a commitment that we would follow this through, that it was indeed the right thing to do. An attorney in Marin, who was previously the head of the Marin Bar Association, had jumped in through hearing about us and said, I'd like to represent you. And then within a couple of weeks, the Pacific Legal Foundation contacted us and said, we think you've got a case, we'd like to help too. So we were very well represented. And a couple of pushbacks, a couple of issues that made us close the doors for a couple of days while we had to regroup legally. And all of this is available online. I'm just trying to give you the short version. And then another letter was sent that said, we're going to file suit tomorrow. And then, poof, it was magic. The county said, oh, well, you can open.
Oh, well, you really are willing to fight this out.
Oh my gosh.
Well, and according to California law, we should technically still be closed. California, Newsom and his band of merry coworkers put us in phase 3. So art galleries are still, to my knowledge, in phase 3 with sports arenas, churches, museums, and are still not open. So
right.
we would still be closed if we hadn't stood up for our rights to provide for ourselves and the 30 artists that we represent. So again, I couldn't be prouder of us. It was tough.
Yes.
We've both got, more gray hair and to show for it, but we were completely fueled by people like you and so many others who reached out to us and said, what can we do?
So what?
And yes, that's where Not Dying is Not Living came from. Quent happened to attach it to a post one day, and it took off.
Yes.
And I can only imagine how many people you haven't even heard from, but who have taken strength from that. It's so wonderful.
So. I absolutely hope so. We received a letter in the mail one day, smaller, kind of old-fashioned letter envelope. Didn't recognize the name. Opened it up, and $100 bill fell out.
Well,
nobody sends cash in the mail anymore, and I certainly wasn't expecting a payment from anybody. And nobody, again, we don't do cash here. And I looked at the letter, and it was just signed by this woman who said, I'm so enormously proud of you. Thank you for what you've done. It means the world to so many small businesses. Well, thanks to the internet, Googled her name and her address, and a phone number popped up, called her.
Oh my goodness.
And I had a sense from the handwriting and from the type of envelope and the fact that it was cash in the mail that it was probably someone grandma's age.
Sure.
And bless her heart, I think she was probably every bit in her late 70s, 80s maybe. And she said, oh, you called. And I said, well, of course I did. I wanted to call and say thank you. That was so kind and so generous, but
my goodness.
Take your money. And she said, oh, please, you have to keep it. I can't do much, but what you've done means so much. And she said, even if you all just go out and have a nice dinner when you can, please, please take my money.
That's
so
amazing.
sweet.
It was so sweet. Yeah. And there were hundreds of phone calls and mostly emails of people just, sharing their support and saying, what can we do?
Right.
And anytime someone says that, my answer is always buy art if you can. Because by extension, that helps the artist and keeps the doors open. But other people helped us by wanting to help us with legal fees if we had any. Thankfully, Pacific Legal and the attorney in Marin didn't charge us anything.
Oh.
We did have some security expenses that a couple of clients paid for us. So we were just so completely overwhelmed, and our hearts were so warmed by the enormous amount of support.
Well, that is perfect, because
there's still a little of the negativity out there,
sure.
But I continue to be fueled by the generosity, and generosity isn't always about money. The generosity in this case is really about taking the time to let us know that
yes,
what we did meant something.
Well,
yes,
you got what you deserved,
yes.
and the story could not have had a happier ending than that.
Yes, our favorite Leonard Peikoff quote is, the first duty of justice is to defend and praise the good. So that's what happened there. That's so wonderful, Linda. I didn't know this, honestly, and we didn't really prep too much for these questions, so I'm getting a little teary. So that's so good.
So that my co-host doesn't break down, we'll move back to, because you mentioned it, the online virtual walkthrough it's quite an experience. And it's funny because I've used Google Street View just to drive by your shop online, see what it looks like if I happen to be in Napa. And there are places now that Google's worked with to let you go inside of a building and maybe look around a little bit. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if Quent Cordair Fine Art had that? But now you do, in something much, much more high resolution and beautiful than what Google would have given you.
Well, and funny enough, this is another one of those stories where we had one years ago when Google first started doing it, and we paid a photographer from San Francisco to come up with these crazy globe-like looking lenses to take all the photos, put it up, and instead of the Google Street View, that's what you could do. And about 6 months ago, I realized it was gone. And all you could see again was the outside of the gallery. And I struggled trying to find out why, called Google. They pretended like I had horns and they didn't know what I was talking about. Only to finally get someone on the phone who said, oh yeah, they changed formats and all those disappeared.
Oh.
Great, now what do I do? And about a week later, I got an email from a gentleman who said, wow, what you guys did, thank you. Thank you for, leading the charge and helping businesses get open again. I do virtual inside photography, and I would love to do one for the gallery.
Oh my gosh!
So this was related to the previous. You're going to get Amy all choked up again.
It's so wonderful.
He is a police officer here in the Bay Area, and he's doing.
A police officer.
Yep,
One of our heroes.
Law enforcement. We actually did. Our biggest descenders were not law enforcement. They were great, but he came in and he put this together for us. We have run into a snag. It is visible online. You can go to cordair.com, and underneath the carousel at the top of the page, there'll be 6 links, and one says virtual tour.
Okay.
You can click on that. It'll open up. It just opens up a page, and you can use your mouse and click and pull your way through different rooms and get close-ups of the artwork.
Well, now you got me wondering what the glitch is. I want to poke around and find it.
The glitch is that we thought we could integrate that with the Google Street View. That if you were just on Google and you went Quent Cordair Fine Art, you'll see the little Street View things, which is where it used to be, and that's where it used to live. But apparently that requires different software. So if anybody out there knows and can help us out how we can put those two together, let me know. But right now you can from our website, and if that's all we ever have, I'm super happy with it. He did a great job. It was incredibly generous of him to come in. He spent a couple 3 hours here taking all the photos, and you really can. It's so close to being here.
Yes.
It's the closest thing to being here without being here.
It's beautiful. I saw it. I haven't been to your art gallery yet, but I just couldn't believe how many rooms you have there, how much artwork you have there, and such variety, such beauty all around. And he did a great job, and I'm so happy that he found you through that. What an amazing thing.
So the little fringes, the ripples keep happening. And there's an enormous amount of really wonderful people out there, and we just keep meeting more and more of them. And to be able to share, he had never been here. He'd never been in the gallery.
Goodness.
And he said, I don't want to leave. I don't want to, I like to go home at night, but I'm so lucky to be able to come in here. We've worked very hard for us to be able to come in here and spend time with the art. I joke sometimes that I run an aesthetic orphanage.
Yes.
These are extensions of us and our artists. Our artist children hanging out here with us for a little while until the adoptive parents come along and I get to send them. Which is sometimes tough.
I was going to say, do you feel the pull sometimes when you have to let one go?
I absolutely do. I have, and I'm not embarrassed to say this, I have asked for visitation rights on a few pieces. And I've never been turned down. I've just
wonderful.
said, hey, if I'm ever in Boston, would it be okay if I came by? And they're like, sure. I haven't taken a whole lot of people on that, but it's nice to know that the art is so loved. And part of the joy of owning artwork is not only enjoying it yourself, but being able to share that joy that you experience with others. Yeah. And that's pretty much mine and Quent's lives right now. That's what we do. We share the joy that we have for the art with others. And if they want to own it, we'll try to figure out a way to make it happen. Whether it's a layaway plan or Club Cordair, it's not supposed to be hard. I want people to look forward to making those payments, not, gosh, I have to make my art payment today. It's not a car. This is something that's much deeper, much more, it's an emotional experience.
Yes.
And we hope it always is. We want it to be something you look forward to seeing every day after a long day, or when you open your eyes in the morning. One of the talks that I gave at the conference this year, it was just that. It was when you open your eyes in the morning, what's the first thing you see? What sets the tone for your day? Is it a beautiful painting or a pile of laundry that needs to be put away? Is it both? But how do you start your day? What do you see when you're sitting in your favorite chair reading a great book and you look up? Or from your desk, from your office, is there a Thomas Jefferson sculpture there? Or is it some random piece of stock nothing that was there when you occupied the office and you just didn't move it? It should mean something. It should inspire you. It should make you smile, bring you to tears, make you think.
Yes.
And I hope it always does. And if you have something, if you have something in your home that you don't remember why it's there, and it doesn't mean anything, call me. I'll help you replace it.
Yeah, so we have a question and a comment from Caton.
Hi, Kate. I'm so happy he's back. Come have pineapple pizza with me.
I know. Anytime, Caton. You know where we live. You know where Linda is, too. So he says, your courage was amazing. I know you faced some hostility from some of your neighbors. Is there any lingering tension?
Sadly, yes.
Oh.
And I think the majority of it is, if you coop people up for weeks and months on end, you take away their livelihoods, you have them fearing for maybe not only their health, but the health of loved ones.
Yeah.
We became someone's project. She needed to lash out, and boy, she took us under her wing and she beat us to death on every social media platform she could find.
Oh.
And truly, I believe that a lot of it was just because she didn't have anything else to do.
Right.
And it festers. It's still out there. Every once in a while, I go into the rabbit hole and I'll read it to see if there's anything I really need to defend. But for the most part, you just kind of have to let that play out. We're open. That's what we needed to be. Our artists are grateful for each and every sale that's been happening. Every sale helps us keep the doors open, the lights on, the air running. And for those who are still out there, I can't change the way they feel. I can't fix that. I can't make COVID go away. Quent and I are just doing the absolute best we can to live our best lives.
And that's so admirable, and I just love you for it. That's so great. And Caton also mentions, I think that viewers should know that the gallery faced a big crisis due to the Napa earthquake a few years ago. And I know that you had told us a little bit about that.
But fires and floods and earthquakes and oh my.
Lions
locusts,
and tigers.
I don't know. So we did in, when was that? 4 years ago? Five years ago, I think. 2014. It's almost been 6 years. It'll be 6 years next month. It was August 24th-ish, 3-something in the morning. We had a 6 point, which they finally said was a 6.0 earthquake, although some experts said that it shook more like an 8 because it had all the motion. It didn't just have the bang, it had the up and down, and it had the roll. So there was a tremendous amount of damage in Napa, and unfortunately a lot of damage in the gallery. Our windows, we have 37 linear feet, I think, of windows in the front of the gallery. All but one were gone.
Oh, wow.
In the middle of the street. We had pieces of sculptures in different rooms from where they were.
Yikes.
800-pound self-made man that is 10.5 feet tall. We could see where he not only moved forward probably 4 to 5 inches, but then also backwards and hit the wall, denting the wall.
Gosh.
I'm really grateful I was not here when that happened. It happened in the middle of the night.
Wow.
But it took us almost 4 months to put the gallery back together and be open again.
Yeah.
And again, another trying time, but to be honest, Quent said, we don't have to do this. We don't have to rebuild this physical location. We can go strictly online, get a warehouse. He's always so incredibly supportive of the work that I do, to allow him to do the work that he does.
But you love the gallery. You love the gallery.
It's a part of me. I knew that the minute I walked in it, when it was only 900 square feet in Burlingame. But as much as I may have just barely entertained the thought of not rebuilding, I really had to dig deep and say, well, if we don't reopen the gallery, what then? And I kind of half joke saying that I'm much better at this than I'm at asking you if you want fries with that. So I put my boots on and got a broom and went to work, and together with Quent and, again, amazing friends and supporters who came to the gallery from all over the Bay Area to help us rebuild. I can't tell you. I now see. Thanks, Amy. I'm gonna cry now.
Just do this, just like they do on.
And I can't see you. You're so small. So I'm. Just,
oh, right.
It's the vapors.
It's the vapors.
But
you girls.
Yes. We're such little emotional bundles. But it truly is from the bottom of my heart for anybody who sees this, for every well wish, every call, every email, it has truly fueled us. The amount of emotional fuel that we get from that to keep doing what we do in an economy that doesn't make it easy. I mean, we first moved to Napa, the crash of 2008. There's been more what ifs, and somehow we keep bouncing back because what we do is what we want to do.
And
I think people are always going to need it.
Yes. We have another question. Have any other art galleries in the area supported you or possibly opposed you? But it sounds like you got a lot of support, perhaps?
You know, there aren't a lot of other art galleries in Napa. So although Napa is a very representational place.
Everybody else is making wine.
They're making wine and drinking wine. We have a small local co-op, a couple of 2 doors down. That's about 40 local artists. And they took it as an opportunity to close and regroup and paint. And I think it was harder for them because as a co-op, each one of the 40 artists has a commitment to work a certain number of hours. They're on schedule, and that just wasn't going to work. You know, we're a larger gallery, but it's, you know, Quint, myself, and 2 employees. And right now, with still worrying about health concerns, you know, we've tried to make sure that the girls know if you don't want to come to work, you don't have to come to work.
Right.
We've got this. But it wasn't as easy. So, but there's nobody else like us as far as the type of artwork that we represent, or certainly the quality. I mean, our artists have been, Danielle Anjou had her diver in the Louvre in Paris.
Wow.
Carl Jensen won first place in the International Salon for the Art Renewal Center. Several of our artists are either living masters or associate living masters with the Art Renewal Center.
Wow.
J. Hall Carpenter was the sculptor in residence in the National Cathedral, and the list goes on.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know all of this.
Yeah, I haven't visited Art Renewal Center in a while, but for the longest time they were just an amazing resource
yes,
for digital copies of art.
You'll find Brian Larson, Martin Eichinger, Hanwoo Shen, Carl Jensen, all among those artists at the Art Renewal Center.
Wow.
That's cool. I'm going to go. That's fantastic. That should be in our show notes for the Art Renewal Center.
I'm writing that down.
Good. Yeah, so yeah, when we were talking earlier, we kind of covered most of it, Linda, but, you know, my thought was, you know, as a business owner, as somebody who is, trading and selling and making transactions and all of that crazy capitalist stuff that people love to rag on. And, you know, I always see you and Quint as people who are entrepreneurs who really do love, you know, their work and love to trade in art and love to support artists and love to, you know, take those orphans that you have there and provide them good homes. And it really is a very spiritual meaning for you. And I just keep thinking to myself that, you know, it is for a lot of business owners. It is a spiritual meaning. And that's something I think that we need to talk more about today. I don't know, do you have any stories for us? I know you mentioned one before about the dancer.
It runs deep. I mean, you have to be willing, and I think, to own a business and keep a business going for as long as we have. You have to be willing to make a tremendous amount of commitment to following through, and the rewards are enormous. You know, just getting through things like the earthquake and the fires for the last 2 years, and of course what we're dealing with now, certainly doesn't make it easier. And I spent 20 years in the corporate world. I spent 20 years making a lot of money for someone else.
Yes.
And not being appreciated for it. And then realizing that getting away from that was good for my soul.
Yes.
And being able to make myself proud and not spending time defending what I was doing, but instead channeling that energy into helping people have just truly emotional experiences and to make connections with artwork they didn't know existed. I think the story Amy was talking about, there's a sculpture on the website. It's called Swan Queen. It's by Holly Crocker Garcia. It's an absolutely wonderful piece. I wish more people knew about it. We do everything we can to get word about it out there. It's exquisite. And it's so wonderful that there's a special link on the website up there next to the virtual tour, if I remember correctly, called Art Studio. And you can go in, and Holly did a great job doing a step-by-step of how this piece was created.
Nice.
From just the original block of clay, the wires, the armatures, to the final patina, and the handmade Swarovski crystal crown that she made for it. It's just stunning. It's an absolutely stunning piece. So one day in the gallery, very petite, elderly woman was standing in front of it, and she'd been there for quite a while. And we don't sell cars. Nobody chases you around. No one's asking you, what do you want to buy today? Drive it off the lot. It's the privacy. We even designed the gallery in such a way to allow you to disappear into those different rooms. So when you're doing that virtual tour, you get a sense of whether you're sitting on one of the little settees or just in a room by yourself with the art, no salespeople to talk to you. So here she was, just enjoying a private moment. But I will occasionally say, is there anything I can do for you? Do you have any questions? And as I got close to her, she was crying. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Are you okay? Can I get you anything? And she said, no, I'm perfect. And I said, would you like a chair? And she said, no, I just want to stand here. And I'll bet she was well into her 80s. And all of a sudden, I had this thought, and he said, were you a dancer? Did you dance ballet? And she said, yes. How did you know? I said, yeah. And by now I'm tearing up because she's still crying. But I could tell she was making a connection with herself over this work of art. And it affected her so deeply that when she began describing to me that the piece was perfect, there was not a muscle, there wasn't a toe out of place, the arms were in the correct position. And she was truly moved by that. And she told me, I've seen hundreds of ballet pieces of artwork in my life, and I've never seen one that was this perfect. And I said, well, the artist was a dancer as well. And so, there was this almost 3-4 way communication going on, and the amount of positive energy, I will never forget that. I mean, she may not even be here anymore. That was probably 10 years ago.
Wow.
I remember how long ago it was, but my point is that day was so special for both of us to be able to enjoy the experience and what that work of art. She said, I'm never going to be able to afford this. And I said, I understand. I understand. I can't afford it right now either. I said, but I'll tell you what, I will put it in a special place and have a special chair for you anytime you want to come in. And so, yeah, but there are hundreds of stories like that, and I wish I had time to share them all, but that's one that's very near and dear to my heart.
I love that so much. I mean, there's just exponential human values out there that are just they run so deep, and they make you
can't imagine getting that. I can't imagine getting that kind of reward in a hardware store, or wherever else I might have landed.
I was just thinking of that.
Yeah.
Well,
as long as Quint will have me, I think I'm going to stick around.
Well, Amy works at the Henry Ford Greenfield Village Historical Museum. There's a museum, but there's outdoors. She spent a year as a presenter in historical outfits. Presenting.
You gotta be careful. I'm going to steal her away from you. I'm going to have her come out here and work for me.
Okay.
And so she would have these inspirational experiences and deeply emotional, and days she would come home from work choked up.
Well, it was like that. I was in Thomas Edison's childhood grandmother's house from Canada.
And these are the actual homes and buildings,
and you have people who come into the home and they're like, we're actually cousins of Thomas Edison. Robertson, as a matter of fact, and we're from Toronto. And then I get into these amazingly deep, very, very touching conversations with people who just, they love the village. It's really spiritually filling.
So, knowing the experiences that Amy has had, and now hearing you talk about the gallery,
Yes.
I'm thinking, I don't think I ever got anybody choked up when, the server was down and I got it back up and got 100 people back to work. It's just not the same gratitude.
But it should be. It should be.
I have wept when a tech guy has gotten me back online. So just so you know, it does happen.
Okay. Well.
Feel appreciated.
Well, honestly, but that is something that we need to look at. I have thought about those things,
and
construction workers even, or, things that people build and how magnificent things are. And when things come together and people produce and create so many values for themselves, for their own self-interest and the pride that they take in it. And to see how, of course, how other people appreciate it and how other people use it and are inspired by it. And it's just exponential inspiration.
And it's a theme we've covered on the show before.
Yes.
Both in terms of self-gratitude and making sure that you have the spotlight on you at least now and then.
And capitalism.
But I can't resist making the contrast between the kinds of just heartening stories that you have at the gallery and the stories Amy's told me at work. And I'm out there making sure the network doesn't go down and all the computers are running.
Which is
all
great.
right, so I'll take that and I'll raise you a grocery store story. When I first moved to California, actually I was visiting Quent, and there's a grocery store on the peninsula that is all that. It's just one of those wonderful gourmet grocery stores. We didn't have a lot of that in South Florida. Wait a minute, we didn't have any of that in South Florida. And I wept in the produce department because it was the most beautiful produce department I had ever. The place is called Drager's, and it, $100 you could get one paper bag out of there.
I don't even know if we had those. Did those exist 30, 40 years ago? When grocery stores were just grocery stores, and now you're right. You have these places that really are inspirational. The kinds of grocery stores where you expect to spend 2 or 3 times what you would at a whatever you've got, Kroger or Publix or something. But they are inspirational. It's amazing. I always say we are surrounded by miracles.
Yes.
If you hadn't retired, we could have created a hashtag for you, something like appreciate tech guys or something. But you're retired now, so you don't need it anymore.
Well.
He's applying his tech experience to all of this right now. So
yeah, we haven't gone down yet.
So we are approaching the hour, but maybe we could take a few minutes. Would you like to get up and show us around, perhaps, if you have the iPad with you?
We'll see how this works.
Okay.
There I go, covering the thing.
Oh, quite all right.
Before I move, and I've got this behind, do we want to talk real quick about next week? Because that might be more important. And
sure.
They can always do the virtual tour online if we run out of time. But
well, I don't know, Linda. What has Quent Cordair Fine Art got for us next week?
Well, next week, you get Quent Cordair.
Oh, my gosh.
Yay!
We're only halfway done. This is amazing.
We're still on this journey. This is so good.
But will he get Amy as choked up?
I bet he will.
I bet he will. I've talked to him, so.
Good at it. But speaking of getting choked up, so behind me is part 1 of his 5-part book that he's been working on, and I thought it might be fun. If anybody wants to pick this up on Amazon, put it on your Kindle, read it before next week, it might make for some very interesting questions for his interview. And
the link to that will be in the show notes.
Awesome.
Yes.
I'll do So I got to figure this out. I got to figure out how to flip this camera.
Okay.
Give you guys a little, I did it.
Oh, perfect.
All right.
Excellent. And just so you know, before you go on, we do have a drawing to do before the show is done.
That's okay. We've got 5 minutes.
We have 5 minutes left.
We have 5 minutes left. We're done.
We are.
It's in the show title. We've always got 5 minutes.
So this is just a little sample. This is only 2 of the rooms, but this is an original Sergei Marshenikov that recently came in.
Wow.
So people know about that one yet. It's really lovely. These are some Pablo Larsons, and these are small, affordable oil paintings. It doesn't always have to be a big, giant piece. This is one of my favorite sculptures in the gallery. This is Rapture by Martin Eichinger.
Nice. Gosh,
They know it turns into the no photography sign.
Oh yeah, it's so beautiful.
So it's a pretty cool place to come and hang out, but the virtual tour does give you the opportunity to just spend more time looking at an individual piece, getting up close on it. And I know a lot of you, there's the big version of Rapture.
Oh, wow.
There's the big 10-foot self-made man. You guys saw me waxing his bum yesterday. Hey, our goddess has got to do what she's got to do.
I love it.
Some of Brian Larson's beautiful work, and all of these babies are looking for homes. So there you have it.
It reminds me of Luke Travers touching the art method of art appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
Do I need to show you the no touching signs here? We do have them.
Very nice. But Luke will encourage you to go to an art gallery and spend time with no more than 6 or 10 items, and to really focus on a couple of them, and to get a rich experience out of it versus going to an art museum and just browsing, glancing briefly at things. And it seems like his method would take a year to cover your gallery. It is so dense, so rich.
Yes.
Well, this is where I have to come every day, hang out.
Poor you.
Everybody feels sorry for me. So I'm trying to pick up our prize and show it to you.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Is the Evening Tree poem print. The painting and the poem are by my love.
That's
Mr.
beautiful.
Cordair. And I understand you all are going to do a random drawing of your subscribers.
That is exactly right. I'm going to check YouTube real quick. Make sure I just printed these out, but I have to make sure we don't have any last minute add-ons.
How much do I owe you for the extra time? I mean, we were only supposed to go 5 minutes.
Well, we'll let you know. If it goes over 5 minutes, I'll let you know, and I'll send you a bill.
All right, bill me.
We can make more minutes.
That's right. They're like Doritos. Use all you want. We'll
They'll
make more.
Yes.
That's right. Okay. Well, it looks like I am up to date, and I actually have my Aussie hat.
His Aussie hat.
And
that's a proper hat, sir.
And it's full of the name. Now I have to say, because I want to keep this legal and above board, all of the subscribers who are public subscribers to Robert Nasir, the channel on YouTube, are in the hat. If you subscribed and you told it keep it private, obviously I have no way of having your name. If we have a second drawing, like next week maybe, you might message me on that and let me know, hey, I was private, but I want to be in on it, which is impossible. But if you message me, either way.
I'll tell you what, we're going to do another drawing next week, so they should probably let you know.
Okay, but either way, if you're a public subscriber, and I think that's the majority, you're in the hat.
Yes.
So Amy, would you like to pull a name out of the, drum roll, thank you. Pull a name out of the Aussie hat.
I'm so excited.
I'll tilt this away from you so you can't possibly see who it is.
I'm gonna dig deep.
I did not put this back.
And the winner is of Quent Cordair's beautiful.
Now some of the usernames are funny, so we'll see.
And poem.
We'll see what this turns out to be.
The winner is
Addie Mason.
Addie Mason. I think we know this person.
I think that might be, oh my God, our serial entrepreneur in Southeast Michigan. That may be his daughter.
I think it is.
Oh, that would be the most awesome thing.
That would be great.
Oh my gosh.
Addie Mason, you are the winner, and we're going to get that print to you. And
oh, how wonderful.
And you'll be able to
congratulations.
Enjoy that. Thank you.
Well, Linda, thank you for that. It's wonderful that you are supplying this. By the man of the hour next week. Mm-hmm. Both his writing and his art. Share. So outstanding.
This has been so much fun.
It has.
Well, real quick before we wrap up,
sorry about the tears.
I have to do.
I love the tears.
I have to do the show wrap. Every week we give you a post-it note of the week, and your post-it note for the week says, "Art is spiritual fuel. Get some." If you don't know what that means, this idea of spiritual fuel, you have to read the Romantic Manifesto by Ayn Rand.
Yes.
Or at least the opening essay from that, because art is spiritual fuel. A spirit, too, can run dry. Mm-hmm. Well, not if you're at Quent Cordair Fine Art. if you're in that gallery, your need for spiritual fuel ain't never going to run dry. Put that on your refrigerator, your bathroom mirror. Remind yourself to indulge in art, to get that fuel you need. I think all too often we settle for low-grade fuel. I like television, I like humor, I like the internet. I get spiritual fuel from all sorts of different places, but if you're not reading or viewing or at least spiritually touching fine art,
Yes.
I recommend that you resolve that. So art is spiritual fuel. Get some.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
I get spiritual fuel from you and Amy.
Oh,
Goodness.
well,
You can
thank
get
you.
me tearing up again.
And
Thank
No,
you.
I do. I don't usually make time to watch a lot of things, but there's just always been something about the two of you that makes me smile, and I know it has to be doing that for other people too. So thank you.
you know, we're going to do a show on the idea of kindred spirits.
Yes.
You know, one of my projects is to rescue kind of woo concepts that have really important value but are kind of like fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
And I absolutely believe in kindred spirits and soulmates and other concepts that people tend to laugh at. And, you know, Linda, you and Quent are kindred spirits.
Yes.
And I can't overstate how important it is to have that in your life. Even if it's folks we only get to see in person every few years, nowadays distance means nothing, and we're so glad you're there.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh gosh, guys.
Okay, real quick. Reminders. Show notes will be posted right after we wrap up, including the last minute notes I still need to add in, including the link to the Art Renewal Center. And
Thank you.
oh yeah, we need a Kleenex here. Past episodes are available at youtube.com/Robert Nasir, but you already know that because that's where you subscribed. If you haven't subscribed yet, then you're not in next week's contest. Get subscribed. Get the hints. Make that happen.
Subscribe.
Also at youtube.com/Robert Nasir, you can view past episodes and share them with all of your friends.
Yes.
If there's an episode you didn't like, share that with your enemies. Good times. If you'd like to support the show, visit patreon.com/Robert Nasir and throw money at us.
Yes.
I'm changing the name of the band, or is it the album, to Throw Money. It's an old Todd Rundgren reference. The oldsters in rock and roll will get that.
Or Spinal Tap's Give Me Some Money.
Give me some money. Yes. And with that said,
Yes.
Linda, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You are not just the star of this episode of 5 Minutes with Robert Nasir. You are always the star in all of our hearts.
Yes, you are.
Special thanks to all of you watching who have enjoyed this episode with Linda Cordair. We wish each of you success and flourishing. I'm starting to get choked up. I can't speak straight. We wish each and every one of you success and flourishing and inspiration. And as always, we wish